Hey, and welcome back to Girl Chat Sports, episode 56. And it's a first, you guys. I have a guest host, and it is a male. His name is Mike Dixon.
What? Thank you, one and honor. And she always speaks girly of Steph. How you doing, Steph?
Steph's out of town this week, so unfortunately she wasn't able to make it. And as you guys may know, just to touch on something close to us, our hearts here in Las Vegas, as you may already know, there was a huge massacre, complete terror that struck down in Las Vegas on October 1st on Sunday night, killing 58 people and injuring over 500 at the Mandalay Bay concert for the Route 91, and we decided to cancel our podcast that week just in observance of the attack that occurred here in Las Vegas. There's been a huge outpouring of support from all over the country as well as the community. I know for myself and Steph, we really appreciate all those people that reached out to us to make sure that we were okay. Neither of us were there, however. You know, it's like 1 degree of separation. Everybody knew one person or knew someone that was there or maybe someone that got injured there. And so we continue to pray and support those that were there, that were affected by it, all those families that were affected by it. But the show must go on, and we're not going to let that asshole who started this whole thing affect our podcast and how we bring it to you. So even though Steph's out of town, we'll get back to bright and cheery real quick. We are Vegas strong, but we do have Mike Dixon here in the house. He is from Vegas Sports Daily. Vegas Sports Daily.
Ooh, with Girl Chat Sports. I love it, yo.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Melissa was, I spent a couple weeks with her one time before watching some games on and off. You know, I trolled on her watching the Seattle Seahawks game. She ended up hating my guts.
And I had to leave, and my team won because I wasn't with him anymore. So that's how it goes.
That's right. Seattle's strong, too.
Yeah. Stupid. This is Mike's first podcast, so please bear with him. Although he has covered and been on national radio, you can find him a lot through the Florida sports stations.
Yeah, 810 CBS Sports Radio, where I worked there for a few years, and still continue to work with friends down in South Florida at Miami 560 WKM. But you know what? That's all good and dandy. I'm all about the Girl Chat Sports.
Right. So basically, you guys, we've got some great guests coming up on the show. We've got Chrissi Sanders, who is from Next Play. She's a branding, PR, marketing. She helps other athletes in their marketing and stuff. We also have Jeanna Thomas, who will join us after the commercial break. Jeanna Thomas is a writer for the Falcons. She's a writer full-time for the SB Nation NFL and also for the Falcoholics. Long-time Falcon fan, as well as, you know, it doesn't hurt. She gets to work in that beautiful stadium. You know what I mean?
I saw the Mercedes-Benz Stadium about a month ago when I was down in Atlanta. It is gorgeous. And they got Chick-fil-A right next to it. That's the thing, too. Down south, you know, we love our chicken. We love our Southern fried food.
Here.
You know what? I heard about that. You know who told me that?
Huh.
You.
I know. Chick-fil-A's bomb because waffle fries are the shit.
Exactly. And hold on, speaking of that, who you like? You got to choose one. Chick-fil-A or Waffle House? What you eating first? Have you been eating it?
It depends if I'm a late night drunk or if it's Sunday. Because if it's Sunday, obviously you have to go to Waffle House because Chick-fil-A's not open. But I always prefer Chick-fil-A first.
What?
Yeah. Anyways, let's get to the show, Mike. Enough about food because I'm going to get starving, and then you know how I am when I'm hungry.
That's right. She's mean when she's hungry.
Let's start off with the Vegas sports action. I mean, here we go. In the last year, we've had 3 major league teams profess their love and move to Las Vegas. We've got the Golden Knights that started here this season. We've got the Raiders that'll be coming here in 2020. And just announced this week, we have the San Antonio Stars, who most likely will become the Vegas Stars, I'm guessing. And they'll be starting here this summer. I had thought maybe they'd be going to T-Mobile. They're actually going to be playing all their home games at the Mandalay Bay Event Center. So big shout out to them. In regards to the Golden Knights, though, they had their home opener on October 10th, which was awesome. And instead of doing their usual, like, you know, the home openers, big, you know, extravagant opening ceremonies, they actually had a ceremony dedicated just to those first responders. And thank you to all those first responders who came out here and were helpful to all those affected by the tragedy on 10/1. They dedicated to the victims as well as the first responders. They had a great opening, you know, ceremony for those people. I mean, it was amazing.
That was awesome, yeah. And I heard from a few friends out here in Las Vegas that They had a special event inside T-Mobile Arena where it wasn't really open to the public, but it was for the first responders. They gave them all free food, free drinks. They actually ended up giving away some some player gear too to the first responders. So I thought that was awesome, and to see the Las Vegas community come together. Raised $10 million in 9 days. That's incredible.
It's an amazing time. And for all those that are in Las Vegas and maybe you're hearing this podcast and maybe are still being affected by it, just remember that there is the Family Resource Center for all those affected. It is off of Pinto Lane and Martin Luther King, so please look out for them. Feel free to contact me if you'd like more information regarding that. But back to the Golden Knights, they're 5-1. They are currently on top of the Western Conference as an expansion team.
That's huge.
This is amazing.
And then my favorite game after watching the first 5 games was that the home opener, obviously against the Arizona Coyotes. They went up like 2-0, then 3-0. Then they allowed the Coyotes to come back, score 1 goal, but they destroyed them that night. Yeah. And it was actually back-to-back games too. So this is a very young and promising team.
And they're looking good. They look very good. And I have tickets to go to the Blackhawks game, which is on this coming Tuesday. And coincident enough, this is my second NHL game ever in life. And it's against the team that I saw for my very first game. I actually went to Chicago last year and saw the Blackhawks at home. So I'm pretty excited to see my second NHL team and to start getting accustomed to the whole hockey world, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you get like the most unique stories. And that's one thing that was always special about you in this short period of time that I've known you. So,
but I can't keep my ass sitting down in one place. Obviously, I was in Tennessee for the Seahawks loss against the Titans a couple weeks ago. Just got back from Dominican. I think I need to just try and relax for a little while, right? No?
Yeah, you well traveled.
Yeah, and now Steph's traveling. It's like we might as well be GirlChatSports on the road. So that seems where it's at. So the stars are coming. I'm excited because as a Husky alumni, Kelsey Plum, who was the NCAA highest scoring, in history for the NCAA, she was a Husky. She got drafted by the San Antonio Stars. She'll be moving with the team this summer, so I'm excited to see her. I'm going to break out my purple and gold and go to a game and profess my dedication to her and the team. So that's going to be exciting. I'm excited for that. Also, if you haven't noticed, also on December 1st, Orenthal J. Simpson was released from Nevada State prisons, currently on parole, who could be under supervision until 2022, but it did not stop him for hitting up a few bars in downtown Summerlin, specifically the Grape Street Wine Bar and Cellar in downtown Summerlin, where he was caught on camera talking to a Caucasian woman, which we know obviously is his type by now. And, that's pretty interesting. So if anyone's out there in the downtown Summerlin area, I guess keep an eye out for OJ.
Right, OJ, man, he still got it. He's a ladies' man.
But probably not driving a Bronco, I guess.
No, OJ.
Oh, God, jeez. Anyway, so in regards to Major League Baseball, this is the best time of the year, isn't it? We got Major League Baseball playoffs. We've got the basketball just starting up. We'll get to basketball later with our guest, Chrissi. But we got that, football. I mean, it's like everything. And hockey, everything. Yeah. I literally had, thank you, DirecTV, because I had the HD Sports Mix on my TV. I get to watch 8 screens of different channels of all the sports going on at once.
Oh, that's beautiful. And that's another great thing about Vegas right now. We've been at the top of the headlines over the past 2-3 weeks with new teams coming in, and obviously we got the World Series should be coming up. I do like the Dodgers.
Right now it's the playoffs, so we got the Yankees just as we were recording this. The Yankees just pulled off the win to take the series away from the Astros. So Astros were up 2-0. Yankees came back to tie the series at 2-2. Went back to New York tonight. They actually won. Basically, it was what do you call it when they don't score any points? It was 6-0 Yankees. So
they shut them out.
It was shut out. And then now we've got
the Dodgers. They end up sweeping every team since they entered into the playoffs.
And Dodgers are playing the Cubs right now. Cubs are down 3-0 in the series, so it's basically a one and done for the team right now. So should the Dodgers win, they're going to the World Series to face the Yankees.
New York Yankees. And to me, that should make for an exciting and interesting matchup because you have one team, the LA Dodgers, who obviously pretty much walked their way through the playoffs, and then you have the Yankees, they had to pretty much fight for every series except for game one against I believe it was the Minnesota Twins.
Okay.
But outside of that, it shows resilience and they can overcome being down 6 points. So I like that takeaway. I'm an East Coaster, so I'm going to ride with the Yankees.
Well, it's all West Coast over here, baby. So I'm going with the Dodgers, and we shall see how it goes. Currently, right now, Cubs are up 3-1 in the mid-sixth, so we'll see how it goes. 6-inning stretch. Good luck, and we'll see how it happens from now on. But anyways, let's get to the program. We've got a long show today, so bear with us again. We've got Jeanna Thompson coming up later after the commercial break. But right now, we're going to welcome Chrissi Sanders from Next Play. All right, we are welcoming our first guest for today's podcast, Miss Chrissi Sanders, coming in from Cleveland, Ohio, and the CEO of Next Play. Welcome, Chrissi.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Melissa. I'm super happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So I guess we've been talking about, me and Mike have been sharing kind of these Las Vegas stories or Las Vegas sports that have been coming about. The newest being the San Antonio Stars. We were bought out by the MGM and we're moving here for the 2018 season. You know, it sounds like you might have, I know that you are pretty familiar with the basketball. I know that you're currently watching a game right now. So kind of give us your thoughts on how that move may affect the WNBA itself. I know a lot of teams are kind of coming out here. Is that going to be a good thing for WNBA having a basketball team out here? Or what are your thoughts on that so far? What did you think when you heard about it?
At first, because I will be honest. At first, my initial reaction was that it kind of scared me for a minute because when you think about it, Las Vegas, it has so much going on. And, the WNBA isn't the biggest league ever. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of nervous that they might kind of get lost in all the Vegas shuffle. But the more and more that I kind of thought about it and talked to a couple other people, I think that, it might be a great jumping off point for the league as far as kind of getting people familiar with the WNBA. So, one of the biggest things that they struggle with is attendance to their games. And by Vegas being such a tourism kind of driven town, most of the people that frequent there on a daily basis are not from there. It would make sense that they're looking for things to do. The WNBA is a very entertaining league, and it's very it's a low cost of entry. So At that point, I think that it'll be a great opportunity for people to kind of get exposed to the league, and then once people kind of start going to the games, they'll probably start patronizing it in their hometown.
Right. Well, another thing that I thought was kind of interesting too is I know I'm from University of Washington, and Kelsey Plum, who was obviously the highest scorer for in NCAA women's history from the Washington Huskies last year, she was drafted by the San Antonio Stars. They actually, a lot of those women play overseas in the off season. So with Vegas being a huge tourist city, you've got people from all over the world coming into town, and they may have local fans from those countries they played at during the off season, possibly. So I think that would be kind of a good look to think about. And I thought it was also interesting. I had assumed they were going to be playing at T-Mobile Arena, which I was like, how are they going to do that? We have concerts there every other day. There's hockey. Right. I knew it was off season for hockey, but at the same time, I was like, wow, they're really going to extend themselves. And I realized it's going to be the Mandalay Bay Event Center, which is going to be pretty much all theirs. Like, they're going to have their own home, which will be really nice, I think, for them to kind of have like a staple ground, a presence right there at the event center. So that's pretty cool.
Exactly. And when you think about it, too, Las Vegas is so conveniently located to a lot of different regions as far as out on the Pacific coast. And when you look at the teams that do well in the WNBA, like the Seattle Storm, like the Phoenix Mercury, like you said, that trickle down effect, they have another central point that they can actually patronize. And I think that people would enjoy that. And then on top of that, Kelsey Plum has a lot of star power, but unfortunately, she was sort of trapped down in San Antonio where kind of nobody really goes. People go there, but, it's a smaller market. So at that point, I think that Las Vegas will open up a lot of branding opportunities support her. And, and basketball is so driven by star power, unlike any other sport, probably besides soccer. And I think that the WNBA will definitely benefit if they definitely promote it right, which MGM does an amazing job of promotions in general. So if they promote it right, I believe that they can become one of the most profitable teams in the league.
Well, and it's nice, too, for them that they don't have to live in the shadow of the San Antonio Spurs anymore. I mean, just like the Storm, they're living in a city now that has no basketball, or no professional men's league. So coming out here with no professional men's league, they're the place that people are going to want to go to see professional basketball now. It's just them. It's not some other a men's league or somewhere else out here that they want to go to first. So that would be pretty cool for them, I think.
Exactly. I think that it'll be a great opportunity for them. And definitely if they just kind of capitalize it right, and I know even with Cleveland, I believe that having that casino connection as well makes it extremely profitable for not only the city, but for the team as well, because people really get attracted to those casinos and start trickling into the games. And then the same thing with Mohegan Sun across on the other coast, the WNBA team that's hosted by the Mohegan Sun Arena. So I think it might be a good opportunity for them.
Yeah, now in terms of the team, obviously you have the Sparks and the Las Vegas Stars, you can say now. How do you think that's going to affect the San Antonio Stars, or more like the Vegas Stars, as far as like competitive advantage? Is it going to help out Vegas, or do you think it's going to... I messed that up. I wasn't really prepared for the WNBA.
Mike is new to the podcast situation. I threw him in as a guest, and he's kind of like, well, damn. So it's all good.
Do you think it's going to thrive? Okay. How do you think this market is going to thrive being so close to Los Angeles?
You're asking me how you think it's going to...
How do you think Las Vegas will do as a market compared to it being so close to Los Angeles with the Sparks being there? Do you think they're going to be able to monopolize on their own market, or do you think it's going to be kind of a hard competition to deal with being so close to LA?
No, I don't believe that they're going to have to kind of share fans in the sense. I believe that Las Vegas will be able to own it entirely in their market. I believe that, like I said, the Pacific Coast in general does amazing for women's basketball, and I believe that the fans will just have another opportunity to come up from Phoenix, all the fans, because a lot of people, I don't know if you guys kind of follow Twitter or not, but I noticed that there are a lot of Las Vegas fans of the WNBA for the Phoenix Mercury that live in Las Vegas. So, I believe that you're going to capture that base because even when you look at some of the ratings during the WNBA finals, that around the Las Vegas area was some of the highest ratings. So I believe that they'll actually be able to own that base. I believe that they're going to benefit from tourism and just in general, I believe a lot of things will just kind of start to trickle in. And like I said, and everything is about promotion. I'm a marketing person at heart, and so I don't believe that if you don't sell it, anybody will buy it, quite frankly. So, I understand that, the WNBA, wants everybody to say, hey, we're in this league, and if you build it, they'll come, but at the same time, it's more than that. So it's really taking advantage of the star power of Chelsea, not Chelsea, but Chelsea Plum, and promoting her in the proper way that makes it attractive. And it's Vegas, baby. Make it, own it.
Exactly.
Own the Vegas market. I would like to see that the Vegas Stars really come up with a unique marketing plan that it doesn't have to be super family friendly. I know we talked about it before, not necessarily being PC, but I understand a lot of times leagues don't want to venture off, but it's Vegas. It's Vegas, and you gotta embody everything that the Vegas brand represents, and I think that people can get behind that because when you go to a Seattle Storm game, it feels like Seattle. You know what I mean? When you go to a Los Angeles Sparks game, it feels like LA. They do the whole star-studded stuff or whatever. It should feel like Vegas. You know what I mean? In between each quarter, maybe it should be a bet or something. Get people engaged in that. Right. And if you get people engaged in that, they won't stop coming.
Well, what people don't fail to realize, too, is that there's a huge local market here in Las Vegas. There's a ton of families that come here. There's a ton of families that actually take vacations here. So, bring your kids, bring your daughters, bring, when I was growing up, there wasn't, the WNBA hadn't really excelled yet, so it wasn't like I could go to a women's basketball game and like look at my look at these heroes that I could one day be, hopefully. So for out here, just being able, I think, to really tie in with the community and being able to show those people and those families that this is going to be a good place for them to bring their kids, just like any other sporting event out here. But anyway, so let's move on a little bit to the NBA. I mean, opening night was last night. I'm sure you caught the two games that were last night. We had the Celtics and the Cavs, which was huge, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was crazy. I had a couple of meetings yesterday. So, but the city was like insane. You think it was a finals game? You had ESPN First Take broadcasting from one of my favorite restaurants, Town Hall. Like it was insane. You know what I mean? You got the Kardashians rolling around. Like Cleveland is like the Midwest LA now, right?
Right. Oh my God. And then Kyrie was his first time back playing. He got booed by the audience. He got booed by the fans there. But he seemed to be, I guess, somewhat. Given some respect and stuff by the other players of the Cavs, welcoming them back, just saying what's up. I don't know how these guys memorize all these handshakes for each individual person. I'm in awe sometimes watching them when they do their handshakes. But anyway.
Well, because the good thing about it, what you have to understand, they can memorize all that because, it usually takes Kyrie about 26 seconds to shoot. So he has like a lot of time, because he only is doing one move. He's only doing one move, so he doesn't have to look at the rest of the playbook. It's just like these handshakes are top of mind.
Right.
Exactly. Now, if you noticed last night, what was the difference in Kyrie's play compared to when he played with Cleveland? Like, obviously, the Cavaliers, they have a lot of scorers, not a lot of shooters. Did he have a different approach playing with the Boston Celtics?
I felt like he had a different approach. I felt like he was definitely sharing the ball a little bit more, trying to really kind of take ownership of the man spot that he wanted. Unfortunately, I think it would be like a coaching change that they would kind of need to have. Unfortunately, like because the style of play that he likes to play is just not winning basketball, unfortunately. And we're not even going to get on the Cavs yet because, like, once you kind of get on the Cavs, we're going to talk about that as well. And I think, like, that's really kind of the biggest thing that I kind of noticed. It's like, all right, yeah, we try to share the ball a little bit more, but at the same time, it's still not one-on-one basketball wins games anymore, so.
How do you feel about Derrick Rose's performance last night? Obviously, we all know Derrick Rose to have been having numerous injuries and never really playing a full season for the Chicago Bulls lately, as well as the Knicks. Was it the Knicks he was on?
Yep.
Yeah. Now with Cleveland, I thought he had a pretty decent game yesterday. I don't know your thoughts on it, how he seems to flow with the rest of the team.
Yeah, I was really happy to see just a player that has so much talent actually be able to play through a game. Like, to be honest with you, every single time he touches the ball, I get very nervous. But, like, only because, I'm like, he's so gingerly. But, he did an amazing job last night. I know that he and LeBron have been doing a ton of work in the offseason as far as kind of getting his durability up. So I'm really excited to see if he can hold up, throughout the season. I think that he will do a good job.
Good deal. How do you feel that Hayward's injury is going to affect the Boston Celtics too? It seems like everybody's just canceling them out from being any kind of playoff contender now because of the injury. But do you feel like that's going to really? I mean, obviously it's going to hamper them, but is it detrimental like everybody's making it out to be?
No, I actually don't. I still believe that they're gonna finish. Midway in the East, probably like in the 4th or the 5th seed. I believe that like a lot of people think that they were the team to beat behind Cleveland, but they were a little bit too young. They have a lot of kind of growing to do. Their experience, they sort of traded away. In Isaiah Thomas. So I believe that they're still going to finish right there because Isaiah and Kyrie sort of similar players, and then Kyrie does at least have that championship pedigree and experience. So I believe they're going to be okay. I think that Gordon is definitely an impact player. We can't, act like he isn't, but I don't believe that he's going to be, sorely missed.
Good deal. So Go ahead.
So let's say, for example, if everything plays out well, they say that Gordon Hayward should return if the Celtics do make it to the playoffs. What would be your Final Four predictions in the NBA playoffs for the East and then the West?
The Eastern Conference Finals and who's going to be in the Western Conference Finals?
Correct.
Like, I believe that it's going to be Warriors and Rockets for the West. I do not think that the Thunder is a threat at all in the Eastern Conference, and I believe that 9 times out of 10. I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, and guys don't kill me, but I believe that it's probably going to be Cleveland and the Washington Wizards.
Okay.
Nice.
Nice.
I like it. They're right now, the Wizards, they're set up. They have one of the best front courts right now in the NBA. But I can see that specifically because they're projected to be the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. So that's actually an interesting take on that.
Is there any particular player that you are most excited to see play this year that made a big trade or a big transition over the summer as far as in the off season, switching teams or maybe coming back from being out for the season, like a Ben Simmons or something? Like, is there anybody that you're looking forward to seeing play this season?
Well, yeah, probably 2. Like, if we're going to talk about a young player, I'm really excited to see Kelly Oubre play. I believe that he has such great size, and I would like to kind of see him grow into the defender that he can be. Like, he was doing an amazing job tonight. And then I believe, like, with his size and his quickness and things like that, he should be able to kind of pose a real threat and free up John Wall a lot for offensive opportunities. So I think that he would definitely be good on the defensive end. And then as far as a veteran player, I would like to see Carmelo Anthony. Now, I know this sounds odd, but I would like to see if this is the year that Carmelo Anthony sort of wakes up, so to speak. I really do. Because is it just me, or it feels like throughout his, I don't know, he kind of came out swinging in his first 3 years, and then from there he just kind of like lulls to sleep.
Like the Walking Dead, the Walking Dead NBA version or something. He's kind of like floats around. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm like, is he going through the motions? Like, he's like the person on the job that's like, hey, I'm gonna just get my check. But don't worry about it. Like, it's like, hey, can you help out? Say like, no, I don't get paid for that. I'm out.
Well, that's a good point. Well, that's the thing. The OKC, they have their big 3 now. And you have to look back at it, like with the Miami Heat. When they first got together, they had Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and obviously LeBron James. So what they need to do is get together and learn to play together, but also the coach has to get the most out of them. And that's one thing that you have to consider with Carmelo, because he was one of the best closers in the NBA. So you have, who would you make your third option? You have Russell Westbrook, you have Carmelo Anthony, and Paul George. If you were the coach, how would you execute their game plan on a regular basis?
Well, first off, I would spread the floor, number 1. So, like, of course, I don't think that, like, because of Russell Westbrook's temperament, we always want to kind of, like, start with him, give him his touches and stuff. But Paul George is definitely my third option. We definitely want to, I would say we need to spread the floors. I think we need to practice our threes, and we need to play defense. Quite frankly, that's exactly how Golden State wins basketball games every single day, is just defense and spreading the floor and running and passing the ball. So, like, I think that's really, if people plan on competing with them, because Golden State is such a unique animal, because it's not like, oh, we just got a really good team. We got a team that's like scoring 140 points a game, and it's really tough to like beat a video game team unless you play like a video game team, like the Rockets did the other night. And we saw that when, if they're just gonna post up and run and post up and shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and that's really kind of how you compete with Golden State, and you got to kind of take that ego out of it. So if those 3 guys can take their egos out of it, then they might be a contender. But unfortunately, to be honest with you, I believe that history will repeat itself, and I'm not quite sure if they'll be able to get past that.
Chrissi, let me just tell you, the NBA season is very long, and I love the NBA, not as much as I love football, but I love you. I love listening to a woman that can speak sports, who knows sports, who lives sports, who breathes sports. I know for sure we'll be calling you back again before the season's over to get your take on the NBA. But before we wrap up with you, I mean, I enjoy these conversations with women. I think it's awesome to talk sports. But where can our listeners find you? And also, do you want to give us a quick, brief rundown on your business, about Next Play, and how people can reach out to you as well as the business?
Yeah, so thank you for that. So I'm going to take my little 15-second commercial real quick.
Of course.
But yeah, so Next Play was basically a marketing and branding firm for sports and automotive, and that's what we do. I have a background in that, so I started a company doing that. And what we do is we help brands kind of take it to the next level, whether it's getting your team sponsorship, whether it's just redoing your brand. Las Vegas Stars, if you need me.
Right.
What'd you say?
I said exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Right. Getting marketing endorsement deals for athletes. That type of deal. So that's basically what we do in a nutshell. We're a boutique firm, and what we like to do is definitely kind of specialize on the needs that you want, focus in on the audience that you're reaching. So we're not going to have you all over the globe just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks. For marketing, we want to get you targeted in your audience so that you're making the most money possible. That's all we're about. That's all I'm about.
And where can we reach you? Where can we find you? Internet, website, social media?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on Instagram, or you can just flat out email me. So you can find me Chrissi Sanders, HCHRSSI, and Sanders, SANDRS, like Deion Sanders, 8. You can find me there, or you can just email me, Chrissi, CHRSSI at keepcalmplayon.com. So.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chrissi. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
How would you like to make the impossible possible? With professional and personal needs by Envision For You Concierge. With an array of services for you, the professional. So professional athletes, celebrities, VIP and corporate executives, Envision For You strives to assist with travel, hotel, luxury car service, dinner and show reservations, VIP services, as well as consumer relations. Envision For You also offers mobile services, as well as organic tanning, massage therapy, hair and makeup, men's grooming, fashion stylist, appointment setting, and more. Envision For You Concierge with nationwide services 24/7. Envision For You will never hesitate to go the extra mile for your professional and personal needs. So call today 323-300-4592, 323-300-4592, or visit online at envisionforyou.com.
All right, welcome back to Girl Chat Sports. Super excited right now. We are joined with Jeanna Thomas. She is a writer for SB Nation NFL, as well as a contributor for the Falcoholics. She is a big Falcons, fan. She's a sports enthusiast. She's a sports journalist. Welcome to the show, Jeanna. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
And thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. So, quick question just to start off. I like to always, talk with our female guests about, how they got into the sports industry. Have they always been a sports fan? Are they even a sports fan? If there was a certain person that kind of led you in the direction of sports, and I guess what made you choose that as your career path?
Well, I started off in marketing. My major was communications, and I worked in the wedding industry, which is very different from sports. But my dad was a high school coach, and so I grew up on a football field when I was very small, all the way through high school, really. And so I was always around the sport, and my dad always talked to me about sports the same way that he talked to my brother about them.
Love it.
So I think that that in and of itself is part of the reason that I love sports, and definitely what drew me to football in particular.
Wonderful. So exactly, and in being a woman, I myself, sports broadcasting and journalism was never my strong suit. It wasn't my passion from when I got out of school. I took a different career path. This is more like my hobby and what I love as a passion. But I know for me and the little things that I've done here and there in the sports world, there seems to be this, constant magnifying glass of being a female in a male-dominated, career. How do you feel it is for you actually being in the sports field as a woman and doing so well in this field? I mean, working full-time for the SB Nation and stuff like that. How has that affected you as far as in your career?
I think that it's really interesting because it's very split. You either have the guys who don't like the things that you've written and they don't agree with you, and so they'll call you, get back in the kitchen or things like that. And then on the other hand, and I actually had a really interesting experience yesterday. I have to say, first time this has ever happened to me, I tweeted some things about the Ezekiel Elliott case, the ongoing legal appeal.
The roller coaster, the Zeke roller coaster.
Yeah. Yes, and I am covering all of that for SB Nation. That's my beat for SB Nation. So I know this case inside and out. And this guy was challenging me, and he eventually sent me a message and said, I am really sorry. He's like, I realized that I kind of came across like Cam Newton. I can't believe that a female is talking about routes. And he's like, he said, it was just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. I was wrong. And I
I love it.
Pleasantly surprised. I do too. And then I also, I work with mostly men because it is a male-dominated field. And I have to say the men that I work with, both at SB Nation, at the Falcoholic, and here in the Atlanta media, respect me, treat me as a peer, treat me as an equal. It's the same thing with Falcons players, coaches, their staff. So I've been very fortunate in this market in particular.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah, and Jeanna, I want to go back over that Dolphins and Falcons game from last week and how we're just going to... Can you go ahead and recap that game and give me your thoughts on that?
Boy, that was really something. The Falcons have kind of become known for blowing leads, and it's an unfortunate consequence of Super Bowl 51. And they went into halftime with a 17-0 lead and came out after the half, and you can kind of track exactly what happened. Right before the half, there was a missed field goal. Matt Bryant typically does not miss field goals. But he was on the injury report last week with a back injury. I think that, that probably impacted things. But that kind of started the downward trajectory. And so after that, you had a couple of really terrible punts, which is also very unusual for Matt Bosher, their punter. He's very reliable. Josh Harris, the long snapper, same thing. There was a botched snap that led to one, that ended up being a fumble that Bosher had to recover, and that just gave the Dolphins wonderful field position. They were able to capitalize on that. And then beyond that, the penalties. I mean, just the mental mistake, the lack of discipline. There was one drive, I think that it was the Dolphins' second touchdown drive, where there were two back-to-back penalties. One was a roughing the passer penalty against Brady Jarrett, the defensive tackle, and it was actually an interception. Jay Cutler threw it directly to Robert Alford, Atlanta's second cornerback. And so Alford picked it off, and then Jarrett hit Cutler late, and he kind of hit him in the head area, which should be a flag. I mean, that should be a flag. Mm-hmm. But what it did was negate the interception, and it gave the Dolphins, I think, half the distance to the goal. And so it was very easy for them to punch it in. And so that, the mental mistakes were frustrating. Then, of course, the late game interception by Matt Ryan when they were driving to possibly win. That one was really, they could have still won there at the end. That interception really was the final nail in the coffin.
You touched on a lot of points that really stood out to me, especially with the mental issues. Now, there's two things that really stands out to me with this team. Is it because of the new offensive coordinators, now that Kyle Shanahan, he's left the team, and also I think it's Mark Manuel, the defensive coordinator. They tend to let the game slip away at the very end. And I'm still boggled by the fact that Dan Quinn blew the lead, obviously, the big thing with the Patriots, 28-3, and now recently with the Dolphins, 17-0. And the Dolphins come back to win it, 20-17. Now, with that being said, what does it take for the Atlanta Falcons to win this game Sunday night versus the Patriots? Does it start with a quarterback?
Really. I mean, the main thing is they have to eliminate the mental mistakes. We're just seeing a complete lack of discipline on this team, and that's something that can be overcome. Those penalties, you don't have to commit those penalties. Grady Jarrett knows better than to hit Jay Cutler in the head or neck area late. They know better than to hold when they're in coverage. They know better than to commit pass interference. And so that's part of it. But the other part of it, and you mentioned this with the new coordinators on both sides of the ball, and I think especially Steve Sarkisian, because he never called a play at the pro level. Obviously, he has a lot of college experience, but he never called a play at the pro level until this preseason. And so I think that part of what we're seeing on offense, you're seeing them not target Julio Jones in the end zone. You're seeing them not give Devontae Freeman carries in the second half when they have a lead. That, I think, speaks to his lack of experience. And I think that they have to kind of, settle in on that side of the ball too. And I think that Sark needs to really think through what he's doing.
That's funny. You spoke about Steve Sarkisian. I'm actually a Washington Husky myself, alumni. And
nice.
Yeah, so we had Mr. Sarkisian for all, and he did pretty good for us back then. And it's interesting to see him now switching up into the NFL kind of realm of football and things. I guess my questions are, this season so far, we really haven't heard a whole lot of Julio Jones. We haven't heard a whole lot of the Atlanta Falcons offense as much as we had in previous seasons. Is there something that maybe is going on? Is there something that we don't know about necessarily? Or do you feel like there's maybe some chemistry that maybe got it, in the way over the off season? Or is it maybe just luck?
Well, I think that there are three specific things that work here. One, for a couple of weeks, the starting right tackle was out. He was in the concussion protocol. That's Ryan Schrader, one of the better right tackles in the league. He's very reliable. And then they have a new right guard. This is second-year player, Wes Schweitzer. He came out of San Jose State. They ran the same scheme there. One of his former coaches at San Jose State is an assistant offensive line coach of the Falcons, so there's a high comfort level there, and he's in his second year in the system. But it's very different when you step into a starting role for the first time, especially along the offensive line. He's sandwiched in between Schrader and Alex Mack, who's arguably the best center in the league. But with Schrader out, and really the guy who filled in for him, Tyler Sombrilo, was a pretty significant downgrade. And so then Schweitzer isn't able to make up for that weakness. With Schrader back in, I think that things will even out a little bit for the offense. I do think that was a factor, especially against the Bills and the Lions, because those were the weeks that Schrader was out. The second thing is just Sark getting adjusted. And if you think back to 2015, that would have been Kyle Shanahan's first year coaching, as the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, and they were actually terrible. This offense was terrible. I mean, it was excruciating to watch. They were so bad, and I think that it was a chemistry issue. I think that it was Kyle getting accustomed to the talent that he had to work with. I think it was players getting accustomed to his scheme and how he ran things and how he called things. And so I do think that there's just some level of adjustment there too. And then the third thing is, I think that it's just, and I think that they're not making very good decisions. I mean, I think that it would be very wise if you have one of the better backfields in the league to run the ball when you have a lead. And they didn't give any touches. I mean, they gave some, but not enough to Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. And so I think that just, there's kind of an aversion to situational football at work there. And, Falcons fans know all too well what that can do, because that aversion to situational football is kind of what lost them the Super Bowl. You run the ball with an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter when you're in field goal range, and it doesn't matter if you lose a yard every time. You're still kicking a field goal, getting an 11-point lead, and winning that game. And so I think that I think that they want to be very aggressive, and I think sometimes you have to balance that aggression with understanding when situational football is going to help you win games. And so I think that that's the other part of it.
I totally agree with that, and I think that's how they need to close out games, because they're running back by committee. Devontae Freeman and Coleman, because down with 2 minutes to go, obviously you had to hand off the ball, but now you're forced to pass the ball, and to me that leans on the coaching decision. Was it a coaching decision for them to pass, obviously, and then run the ball, like with limited time? Obviously, with that being said, what does Dan Quinn need to do to close out these games when he has a lead?
Well, and I think that this is probably, this is maybe the biggest point of frustration for Falcons fans. And I think that, this is kind of a conflict between Quinn's philosophy and reality. And Dan Quinn is a wonderful coach, and he's a great guy to work with. I like him a great deal. Like, I am so excited to go to the Falcons facility every day. I mean, he makes it fun to go to work. Like, I know that's how players feel about him too. But I do think that, especially with two inexperienced coordinators, sometimes you have to step in and say, okay, well, I think that we should do this. Like, I think that we have to run the ball now. I know that you're trying to be aggressive. I know that that's our offensive identity, but it doesn't make sense in this particular situation. And so I think that he has to learn. And I mean, he's a third-year head coach. At this point, he should have enough experience, and certainly losing the Super Bowl the way that they lost it should have been a wake-up call for him. I think that that's something. I don't think that Quinn has very many weaknesses as a head coach. I think that is one.
So, I am a diehard Seahawks fan myself. So, I thank the Falcons for kind of allowing fans to get over our miss Super Bowl with the non-running on the 1 yard line, because it seems like
Oh my gosh, I still feel so bad about that.
I feel like after the Falcons blew that championship, it kind of like lessened ours a little bit more, even though it still does hurt. And the other thing too is that we miss Dan Quinn. I think every game I'm like, man, why did Dan have to leave? But I'm proud of him and what he's done with the Atlanta Falcons organization.
I am too.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
Can I just tell you a very quick story about Dan Quinn? Very quick.
Yeah.
His first season. Okay, so we go all the way through, and they start out 5-0, then they drop one to the Saints, then they're 6-1. Everyone's like, oh, this team is a contender already. Then they lose 6 in a row, and then they finish 8-8. Like it was a rough season. It was a long season. Players were frustrated. Coaches were frustrated. We were all tired of asking the same questions every week. Like, you get to the end of the season, you're just kind of done. And it's New Year's Day, and it's the very last day of Falcons practice. And usually on Fridays, it was Friday, it's only me, the ESPN guy, Von McClure, and then the guy from the HAC, D-Led. We call him. It's D Orlando Ledbetter. So it's the three of us. And Dan Quinn does his normal after practice, sort of talk with us out on the practice field. We ask him our questions, and at the end of it, we're done. And he goes to each of us separately, looks us in the eye, shakes our hand, and says, "Thank you so much for covering this team this year. I have really enjoyed working with you." I've been doing this since 2011. That has never happened. Like he really is a special guy. Yeah, he is a great guy to work with. I really like him a great deal.
I love that. Great story.
And again, we are joined by Jeanna Thomas. You can follow her on Twitter at Jeanna Thomas. She covers the Atlanta Falcons. And I have one final question for you, Jeanna. Obviously, the Vegas bookmakers, they have the New England Patriots favored at 3.5 points with the point total set at 55. What is your prediction in the outcome for our Sunday night's game between the Atlanta Falcons
My prediction, and when Falcons fans hear this, they're going to be mad. I'm going to get some angry tweets, but I do think that, especially in New England and Boston, I think that the Patriots win this. But I think that it's going to be a tough fight. I think that it's going to be 28-24.
Okay.
Oh, nice. I like it. And you do like them to cover the spread. That's what I'm talking about.
I do. I do think that they will cover, yes.
Awesome. Jeanna, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Again, if you could just, they can follow you on Twitter at Jeanna with 2 N's, Thomas, and check her out. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
All right. Man, what a show today. We've already reached over our time limit. There's so much more I wanted to talk about. I'm sure Mike had a ton of stuff he still wants to talk about. One thing I did want to note is to whoever cut off Ken Griffey's bat on his statue in downtown Seattle at the Safeco Field, give it back, man. How you gonna cut someone's back?
Ah, that's cold, man.
Cold-hearted.
You can't do a legend like that.
And also, as usual, my fantasy teams have been doing all right. I'm actually doing pretty good in my guys' league, so watch out, guys. I'm coming for you. The girls' league, not so much. But there's crazy stuff happening every week in fantasy football. Aaron Rodgers is out now with broken collarbone. Adrian Peterson switched teams to the Cardinal now and went over 100 yards for the Phoenix Arizona Cardinals last weekend. So just stay on top of your guys' fantasy football picks. Make sure your lineups are always set on time because every weekend is a whole new one. So before we get out of here, of course I had to come back and bring you the arms of the NFL. And thanks to my guest host, Mike Dixon, as well as our guests Jeanna Thomas and Chrissi Sanders. I've made them in regards to those teams. So since Mike is a Dolphins fan, right?
That's right. Fins up, baby.
All right. Andre Branch, if you're watching the game this weekend in the Patriots, he's the defensive end for the Dolphins, number 50. Just check out those guns, okay? Also, I've got for the Falcons and for Jeanna Thomas, I got Brooks Reed. He's a defensive end also for the Falcons, number 56. He kind of has this Clay Matthews hair going on. Kind of intense, ladies, and some good arms as well. And for our girl Chrissi, her team is the Patriots. I also got James White. He's a running back for the Patriots, number 28. Make sure you keep an eye out for those arms as well when you're watching football this Sunday. And for an awe moment, a big shout out to Chris Long, his defensive end for the Eagles. He actually is going to be donating the last 10 games, his checks from these last 10 games to support educational quality, as well as launching the Pledge for 10 campaign tomorrow. I mean, this guy is a great guy. He's doing great things. You know, some of the stuff is crazy. One of his quotes, he says, educational opportunity and equality are the best gateway to better tomorrow for everyone in America. So shout out to Chris Long as well. And then, hey, Mike, where can the people find you and find Vegas Sports Daily?
Well, yeah, all you have to do is head over to vegasportsdaily.com. You can also get our free daily picks and recent news about the Vegas Golden Knights and Raiders. You can also find me on Twitter at FinsMike. You can also follow us at LV Sports Daily on Twitter. And thanks for having me. It was amazing to be with you. And I know you're probably hungry right now. You had to put up with me. But no, it was fantastic. One of the best shows I've been on thus far here in Vegas, and I look forward to be back.
The hangry is real. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate you for dealing with me and putting up with it. That does take a person to have to deal with me when I'm hungry. That's for sure. So, everybody out there, check out Girl Chat Sports at Girl Chat Sports on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, shout out to all the ladies who came to support us at the downtown Las Vegas Event Center this past Sunday for the Woman Cave, which was an awesome time. We got to watch all the football. We had all you could drink mimosas. Big shout out to the ladies over through the D Hotel that put on those events. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see you guys again one Sunday. And if you want to find me, you can find me at Seattle, the number 4_life on all social media. That's it, guys. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for checking out another great episode of Girl Chat Sports. And remember, we don't have balls, but we know how to cover them. Until next time, guys.